Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Ross portfolio and talk a little bit more about the two essays that are included in the Ross portfolio and what I wrote to them, which ultimately got me accepted into the Ross School of Business at Michigan. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So starting off, I'm going to talk about the business case essay. So the prompt for this essay is: choose a current event or issue in your community and discuss the business implications. Propose a solution that incorporates business principles or practices. The review panel will look for creativity, drawing connections, and originality. Please limit this response to approximately 500 words. So I would say this is a pretty big essay, and it's ultimately going to take up a big bulk of your portfolio since it is a larger essay compared to the other one. And for this essay, the problem that I wanted to solve was at my high school. So the high school that I went to was very big. It had 4 buildings, nearly 7,000 people, and it was almost similar to a college campus. And the issue that came with that is that it kind of made the transition from middle school to high school a lot more daunting, especially for middle schoolers, since it's so hard to navigate such a large size campus at such a young age. So I decided to make my solution in the form of a localized navigation app, and this map essentially includes a blueprint of the buildings with a GPS navigation system built into it. And so that is, a little bit of an overview of the problem that I chose to address and my solution for that. So the format for this essay that I chose to structure my essay around starts off with a quick hook, kind of giving a little bit of a story of the issue and why it was kind of personal to me. Then I go ahead and introduce my solution. I go into detail about the app and its function. Then I talk more about the implementation and the feasibility and business aspect of this app and how we can think about certain features of this app and how we're going to make money and revenue and things like that. And then I talk about broader implications of the app, and then I do a quick conclusion. So starting off with the hook, as I mentioned before, I do a little anecdotal story of me trying to navigate all of my high school classes on the first day of school. And I remember being marked tardy for one of my classes, especially since there was a huge crowd rush and I wasn't able to find my room in time. And then I also talked about how when I was giving tour guides to incoming freshmen to high school, I would always see them, dread the transition from middle school to high school because they're very anxious about trying to navigate all of these buildings and classrooms for themselves on the first day of school. So I kind of, give a little bit of an overview of the problem, give the reader more of a personal feeling of what it was like for me and why I wanted to find a solution for this problem. So after the hook, I just go ahead and dive into my solution and introduce them to my app. So as I said, my solution was in the form of an app, which includes a blueprint map of the buildings consisting of floor levels, rooms, entrances, pathways, and more. And I kind of mentioned how the user has the ability to know their location within the building itself and navigate any building structure without disorientation. And I mentioned in my essay that my app would operate like a road navigation system, like, Google Maps or Waze, where the app would guide the user and tell them where to turn around or turn back if they missed a turn. And then with this app, I also create a social sharing feature within the app itself, where students can connect with other fellow classmates by sharing their locations within the school, which makes it a lot more easier for them to meet up for things like lunch or clubs or sports. And I mentioned how this social sharing feature could be helpful for students to make friends early on in high school. Next, I go into the implementation of the app and really talk about the business aspects of, actually putting this app in place. And I would say this is probably where you can let your business acumen shine and think above and beyond and really show the readers how you would think in a business scenario. So I first talk about demand and revenue and how this app would generate money in the first place. I talk about how my app would have demand because it incentivizes school with a better student experience, which would improve behavior, grades, and overall well-being. And then I said, because of this, I proposed that my app would run on a contract model where an annual subscription fee would be paid by schools so their students could have full access to the app. And I mentioned by making it a yearly contract model, I could get reoccurring revenue, which would generate consistent cash flow in the long run. And I would also have consistent user engagement every single year, since high schools will typically have like a new set of freshmen entering high school every single year. And then I talk about how I could further increase my revenue if needed by monetizing the app through video ads and endorsements that are relevant to the user. Then after that, I kind of talk about the feasibility. I said that schools could actually, afford this by accounting for the expense in their budget and receiving the necessary funding from either public or private resources. And then I also talk a little bit more about the broader implications, because as I was really thinking about the solution, I realized that this, although I built this with the high school in mind, this app could really be used anywhere, such as other school districts, college campuses, company buildings, or really any other location that's just hard to navigate for people. And then I kind of showed that my idea could be used beyond just my high school, which could increase the applicability of my product and help generate more demand and increase my bottom line in the future. And then lastly, I have my conclusion. My conclusion was honestly just one sentence. I just said how, navigating new confusing places is always a challenge, so that I knew that my app would be an appealing service to anyone who doesn't want to get lost. So moving on to the second part of the portfolio, this is going to be your artifact essay. So the prompt for this essay is: upload a document or artifact that represents something significant about your life to show your learning in action. Describe how your artifact demonstrates your learning in action. And the word count for this essay is 250 words, so definitely a lot shorter than the business case essay. And I think Ross specifically mentions that this artifact does not have to be business related. So that guess that's something to keep in mind. You don't have to do something that's related to business, as long as it's something that you're proud of and it really shows your learning in action. For this essay, I talk about how I served as an executive director for a blood cancer campaign and helped raise nearly $15,000 in donations to help cancer patients around the world, and also fund cancer drug treatment. And for the actual artifact that I uploaded, I believe I submitted a campaign flyer that we used during our campaign. And then I also submitted an Excel file of all the donations that we got and the different trends that I was keeping track of as I was on this campaign. So the format that I had for this essay was very simple. I start off with a hook and talk a little bit more about why I really wanted to join this campaign. And then I talk about the process of the artifact or the achievement. And then I have a quick ending. So for my hook, I kind of talk about how growing up, I've seen multiple people who were close to me who were affected by cancer, and I've seen the toll that it can take on those patients and their family. And seeing those people struggle is what made me want to take action, and that's what ultimately inspired me to help join and start my own blood cancer campaign. So I was ultimately trying to give them a why, and why this artifact meant a lot to me, and trying to make it more personal to myself, trying to appeal to an emotional side of the admissions reader. So then I start to talk about the process of the achievement and how I got there. So I talk about how I've become a more dynamic communicator by collaborating with local businesses and restaurants to organize fundraisers. I talk about how I was able to learn managerial skills by managing members on our campaign and making sure that they were fulfilling their duties and meeting project deadlines. And then I also talk about how I was able to improve my marketing skills, because as we were running this campaign, we were struggling with increasing our donation amounts. So I talk about the new marketing strategies that we devised as a campaign to raise awareness about our campaign to both our school and local community. And then for my ending, I think mine was 2 sentences. I talked about how serving as an executive director within this campaign has allowed me to cultivate the managerial expertise required to launch a campaign and produce a positive societal impact. By applying these leadership, marketing, and financial skills, I hope to continue making a positive impact throughout my career. So that was like my ending. It was very brief. I just talked about what I learned and what I hope to continue in the future by applying these skills, hopefully in business school, and the next steps that I was looking forward to. So that's what I ultimately did for this specific part of the essay in the portfolio. So that wraps up my video on my Ross portfolio and what I chose to write for both of these prompts. I would say like the biggest thing is just trying to be creative and trying to be yourself and think about how you would think in certain situations. But if you have any questions about the prompts or what I said in the video, again, feel free to leave them below in the comment section or email me or DM me on Instagram. I'll respond to them right away. But I hope this was helpful and I will see you guys in the next video.